Okay, let's keep an eye on that in case anybody else comes into the waiting room. Welcome to Saturday morning Zoom. In a bit of a funny old mood today, so apologise. Might be a bit giggly, a bit giddy, but I think it's the turning of the year. I'm feeling very full of the joys of spring already, which is probably a bit premature. Oh, right. So this term, we're circling back round. Our new theme is the Prana Vayus. Oh, that's what I haven't done. I haven't muted all. There we go. As always, unmute yourselves if you have any problems, questions, or concerns. Or if you'd rather not be audible on the recording, you can wait until the end when I stop recording. So, listen to your body, don't do anything that doesn't feel right. All the usual disclaimers apply. The theme for this term, so I wanted to just make a quick mention of my yoga philosophy bit. I did a customer feedback questionnaire, not at the end of last term, but the term prior to that. And the feedback was that maybe it was interesting and it was very valid and helpful, so thank you to those who completed it, but that maybe my yoga philosophy section isn't people's favourite part. So I am going to still include it, but I'm going to pare it down a little bit, and I wanted to also explain why I do it. So as part of my yoga therapy diploma, I did a big research project into what is the most effective modality within yoga in the treatment of stress. So is it meditation, breath work, or movement? And what the research showed, and I looked at big meta-analysis and lots of different types of studies, all peer-reviewed, proper scientific journals, and the conclusion that I came to as my question was incorrect. It was invalid, because it's actually none of those individual three things. It's those three things plus yoga philosophy taught together. And that's why I teach the way that I teach. The most valid, and I think stress is an excellent proxy for suffering in our lives. So the most effective way to apply yoga is when you do mindfulness, movement, breath, and philosophy together. So that's why I teach the way that I teach. So forgive me, I will try and make my philosophy bits a bit more succinct, but that's why I do it, and because there are real proven scientific benefits to it. So the theme for this term is the Prana Vayus, and the Vayus are subtle energy currents in the body. And according to yoga philosophy, if we can get them in balance, then it really helps with optimum well-being. There are 5 different Vayus, and they map quite nicely with the other models that we've looked at as well. So the elements, the chakras, and the layers that we check in. So when we check in with ourselves at the different levels of being. So our first one today, we'll do it quickly, Prana Vayu, and it governs inhalation, bringing energy into the body, and it's associated with the heart and the chest area. So I think of it not just in terms of bringing energy and prana being our life force and our energy associated in yoga with the breath, but also how we take other things into ourselves and into our lives. So how we receive love, how good are we at receiving love? How do we receive help and support from other people? How do we receive nourishment and sustenance, information, all of those things that we take into us? So having that idea of taking stuff on board, take that on board as we go into our check-in. Finding a comfy seat, sitting up nice and tall and straight. Or if you want to be lying down, you can be lying down, but finding a posture where the spine is long, the body is relaxed, you can soften the gaze or close the eyes, and tune into your body today. The physical body, how is it? What are its messages? Where is it tense? Where is it relaxed? Where is it hot? Where is it cold? Etc., etc. And then your energy. How is your energy today? Are you full and bursting with energy like me? I'm a bit ready for today for sure. Or are you maybe not so ready? Are you a bit slower, maybe ready for a bit more time in bed? Just checking in with energy. And then in yoga, that energy is associated with the breath. So resting the awareness on the natural breath for a couple of cycles, which can be tricky, but just allowing the breath to do whatever it wants, not trying to control it, noticing how it feels. And then maybe we're coming into a space where we can check in on the mind. Again, not trying to control or stop the thoughts. We can't, that's not possible, but just noticing their qualities, like the breath. Are they fast, slow, deep, shallow? How is the mind today? Is it busy and chattering? Or is it serene? And then also checking in with the emotions underneath that landscape of thought. What are the undercurrents? Stirring the thoughts. The labels that spring to mind, just noticing, not getting swept away, keeping them, becoming the witness, keeping them at arm's length if you like, but just observing what is there, how it is. And then coming to our more pure consciousness, our wiser mind. And that's the space from which we'll set an intention today. What do you want to feel more of or be more of? What is the life or the person that you want to step into? Whatever it is, make it a statement as though it's already happened. And state it silently to yourself, but with real feeling, 3 times now, maybe with the breath. So breathing it into you, and as you breathe out, expanding it within you. Once you've done that 3 times, let that intention go. And then we open our hearts and feel connected. First of all, feel love for Mother Earth beneath us. Feel how she supports you, whether seated or lying, underneath your legs, underneath your bottom. You're grounded, she's there. Father Sky above us, we breathe him into our lungs with every breath. And then beyond to all of the beings in your life, all of the beings in the world, open your heart, welcome them in, and feel yourself connected, plugged in. From that point, that's where we will start our practice today. So, we're going to start with Durga Pranayama, which is a 3-part breath. We'll teach it in a slightly different way today. So we'll start, again, you can do it seated or lying. If you prefer to do it lying down, you can do it lying down, but have your knees bent and your feet flat on the floor. Whatever seated posture, if you would rather be seated, any seat is fine. You might want to change the cross of your legs if you've already been sitting cross-legged for a couple of minutes. You might want to have a little fidget if you need to. Think about what we're going to use to breathe, so a little circle of the shoulders. And we'll start by bringing one hand onto the chest. So in front of the heart, but in the centre, not over to the left, so right in the middle of the chest. And we'll start with just taking a few deeper breaths into that space in front of the heart. So the in-breath expands the space in front of the heart. And the out-breath contracts, shrinks the chest again. So just a few breaths, and this is where the prana is located, and it's the in-breath that we focus on with Prana Vayu. So thinking about that in-breath as it expands the chest, taking air into the body. Nourishing oxygen, drawing it into the chest, expanding the space in front of the heart. Not a huge forced breath, maybe one more there. It's just very subtly longer. But following that breath all the way out. Next, we're going to move the hands down to the sides of the ribs. So you might have your thumbs at the back and fingers at the front, or you might have the backs of your fingers on the sides of the ribs, so just below sort of bra strap, heart rate monitor. Or maybe fingers to the front and heels of the palms at the back. However, allows you to connect with those side ribs. And then we're going to direct the breath down into those ribs. So as you breathe in, imagining those ribs lifting up and out through 360 degrees. And as you breathe out, they sink back down again. Again, it's not a big forced breath, it's just slightly longer and slightly directed. So you can feel the ribs moving up and out like bucket hands. Have the hands in a position so the shoulders can be down and relaxed. One more breath there, just slightly longer. And following it all the way out. And then hands down onto the belly. So tips of thumbs round about the belly button. Fingertips pointing down towards the pubic bone. Imagining you've got a balloon in your belly, and as you breathe in, you expand that balloon. As you breathe out, belly button sinks back towards the spine. One more nice, long, slow belly breath there. Breathing it all the way out. And then taking one hand onto the chest, one hand onto the belly, and spread the fingers wide so they cover a lot of your body. And then this is the trickiest one, so it'll give you at least a couple of breaths to kind of get the rhythm of it. But we start at the top of the inhale, we expand that space in front of the heart. So the chest hand moves first. Then the ribs expand and then the belly expands with one inhale. And then on the exhale, belly button sinks back towards the spine, the ribs sink back down and in, and then the chest sinks back in. So taking it will take a couple of breaths at least to get that kind of rhythm. So the in-breath starts in the space in front of the heart. Then the ribs, you're going at your own pace, at your own rhythm. So you might not be doing it exactly when I say it, and that's absolutely fine. It's just guides. And the exhale, the belly button sinks back towards the spine, the ribs sink back down, chest contract. Remembering it's not a huge forced breath, it's just slightly longer and slower than the natural breath. Just taking a couple more like that. Chest, ribs, belly on the way in, belly, ribs, chest on the way out. Last one. Really following it all the way out to nothing. Relaxing the hands down into the lap. Maybe a little shoulder circle. And then dropping into stillness for a moment and checking in, noticing any effects from the practice. How's the mood now? How's the energy now? How's the breath now? And it's a slightly longer breathing practice than we normally do, but it's the start of term, the start of the year. And that's one that I think is an excellent way, if you have any breathing problems or anomalies, some people paradoxically breathe, some people chest breathe, some people breathe too short, or these are common breath problems. And those practices are excellent for overcoming most of the common breathing problems that we see. So however you breathe, that should have helped to improve it. So now we're going to move on with our physical practice. Sorry, I've got a bit of a frog in my throat today. So we will start with simple seated warm-up, bringing hands into prayer, sweeping them down and then wide, bringing palms together at the top, and then down the middle. So it might start as quite a small movement, and then as you feel into it, it might get gradually bigger. Matching movement with breath. Maybe the eyes follow the hands as they come down the middle and meet them when the palms come together at the top. One more of those. Next time, when palms come together at the top, we'll pause with hands together at the top. As we exhale, we're going to turn to the left, bringing the left hand down behind you, right hand comes over the left knee. And then as you breathe in again, palms come together above the head. As you breathe out, twist to the right. Right hand comes, maybe fingertips to the floor behind you, left hand over right knee. Breathing in, palms together at the top. One more time each side, twisting gently, maybe the head turns over the shoulder. Breathing in. Breathing out, twisting the other way. Head looks over the shoulder. Breathing in, palms come together at the top, and then bring them all the way down the centre line. Then we're going to do what's called the Sufi grind. So I'm sitting on 2 blocks. I'm going to get rid of 1. You can do it in any seated position really, but slightly, either sitting on the floor or maybe slightly lower if you've got a lot of stuff underneath you. Bring hands back onto the ribs, and then we're going to move the rib cage separately from the pelvis, from the hips. So we're going to slide the rib cage forward. So it's not a tip forward, the spine isn't staying straight, it's bringing a little curve into the lower back, or enhancing the curve in the lower back. So being gentle, if you know you've got back problems, be very gentle with it. And then we're going to slide the rib cage over to the right. And then we're going to slide the rib cage back and around and over to the left. And then gently and slowly round to the front. Let's go twice more. You can keep hands on ribs, or you might want to bring them down onto the knees. As we circle slowly around one more time, going around that way. If you've got hands on knees, you can cup them round the knees and have a bit of a stretch as the rib cage slides around the back. When you come round to the front this time, pause. You might want to bring hands onto ribs. So we're going to go back the other way. It can be nice to reconnect with the movement of the ribs as we go slowly round the other way. And we're sliding over to the right, and then back, and then round. And then once you've kind of got into it, you might want to bring hands back down onto the knees. One more time, really slowly round that way. And then when you come to the front, pausing there and sitting back upright. Then we're just going to do seated cat-cow. So hands on knees, and you can do this with legs crossed, you can do it kneeling, or you can do it with legs out in front. You could even do it in a chair, any seated position. Drop the chin slowly down to the chest, let the back of the neck lengthen. And then allow the back to round, so shoulders come down towards hips, the back, the spine curves. If you're cross-legged or kneeling, you might be able to cup your hands around your knees and just slightly lean back into the arms to bring a bit more, being really gentle with it, not forcing, but just maybe a bit more stretch into the shoulders. And take a deep breath into the back of the body. Invite that prana to create space in the back. As you exhale, come to sit upright. Slide the hands up the legs and bring the chest forward. So we're not lifting the chin, but the back is arched. So we're tipping forwards, but then the chest is opening, the head is lifted. Breathing into that nice open chest. And then breathing out, coming back to neutral. Then we're going to come to kneel. You can do a high kneel if low kneeling, if bottom doesn't want to come down towards heels, if knees are reluctant, you can do all of this from a high kneel. Pose towards the back of the mat. I'm going to take my socks off because we're going to do a kneeling sun salutation. We'll go through it really slowly the first time. Probably going to need to take my scarf off. So either from a high kneel or a low kneel. We're going to start, if you haven't done it before and you want to watch the first time through, you can watch me. If you want to join in and be guided by my voice, then you can do that. So as we breathe in, we're going to float fingertips up towards the ceiling. As we breathe out, we're going to float down to extended child's pose with arms long along the mat in front of you. As you breathe in again, we're going to come to lie on our front. So scooping forward to lie on your front. Still breathing in, nice long in breath, floating up into a little cobra first time, pressing down into hands. Forehead down as you exhale. And then this time as we breathe in, first time round, we're just going to do a cat back stretch. So press down into the hands, round arch the back, stretch the middle of the back up towards the ceiling. And then as we exhale, bottom comes back down towards heels. This time we're going to inhale, come all the way up, high kneel, fingertips reach for the ceiling. Exhale, palms and forehead down. Inhale, scooping through onto your front and lifting up into a little cobra. Tuck elbows into sides, shoulders down away from ears. Exhale, forehead down. This time, the option, you can either come to a cat back stretch or you can tuck your toes, press your hips up and take a breath or two in downward dog. So if downward dog isn't for you this morning, you might take some cat-cows on all fours, lifting the tailbone and then tucking the tail between the legs, or maybe you're in downward dog, bending one knee and then the other, a little bit of free movement, maybe a little twist through the torso, a little movement of the hips, a little movement of the shoulders, the feet, feeling that lovely whole body stretch. And then floating knees back down again, bottom back towards heels. So that's our little flow. I'm going to guide you through it from kneeling, high kneel, child's pose, cobra, down dog. If you forget to pose, if you want to go at your own pace, if you want to pick two poses and just go between two poses, go between two poses. If you want to stay in one pose, stay in one pose. It's your practice, your choice. If you want to come with me, come with me. Starting from extended child's pose, reach fingertips away along the mat, breathing in. Fingertips for the ceiling. You might take a little baby back bend there. Exhale, palms and forehead down. Inhale, scooping through to cobra. Exhale, forehead down. Inhale, cat back stretch or downward dog. Exhale, knees down, bottom back towards heels. Inhale, high kneel. Exhale, child's pose. Inhale, scoop through. Maybe slightly higher cobra this time. Exhale, forehead down. Inhale, downward dog. Exhale, knees down, bottom down. Let's go one more time, whatever version you're doing. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale, cobra. Exhale down. Inhale, downward dog. Exhale, knees down, bottom back. And then we're going to come up onto all fours. And we're going to do, so I'm going to give you two options of a little flow that we're going to do here. So this is, it can be quite, we're going to do like a forward lunge. I'll have blocks handy to demo. So you might want a block or two blocks handy, depending on your hips. So option number one, this is the strength building element. So tuck your toes. And then so you want to make sure that you're nice and square. Wrists are under shoulders, knees are under hips. You're pressing the floor away, middle fingers pointing forward, fingers spread wide. Tuck your toes and then hover your knees. Ooh. We're going to hold that for a breath or two. Notice where you feel it. You want your thighs parallel. You want your breath to be long and smooth. And then we're going to drop the knees gently down, untuck the toes. We're going to step the left foot forward in between the hands. So the back knee is staying down. It's a low lunge this side. We're going to then do left foot is forward. You want the left knee above the left ankle. And we're going to inhale as we open left fingertips up towards the ceiling, twisting towards that front leg. Exhale, bring that hand down. And then inhale, step that foot back. And exhale, we're going to step the right foot forward. Inhale, we're going to open right fingertips up towards the ceiling. So you might have your blocks here to support you. You might want to put a block in the middle. Exhale, bring that hand down. Inhale, step that foot back. Exhale, tuck the toes and hover. Dropping the knees down. We're going to step the left foot forward, knee above ankle. Inhale, twist towards it, left fingertips to the ceiling. Exhale, so you're getting the little flow here. Left foot back, right foot forward. So it goes left, right, hover. Inhale, take right fingertips to the ceiling, right hand comes down. And then step it back, and then hover. Hover knees for one breath. So that's option number one, that's level one if you like. Option number two, you can keep going with that or you can return to that anytime you like. Option number two, from all fours, tuck the toes and press the hips up into downward dog. It's the same thing but coming from downward dog. So from downward dog, soften the knees, step the left foot through in between the hands. This time you'll be in a high lunge, so the back knee stays up, power up that right thigh, left knee is above left ankle. Inhale, left fingertips open towards the ceiling. Exhale, bring that hand down. Inhale, stepping back into downward dog. Exhale, right foot forward. Inhale, right fingertips to the ceiling. Exhale, right hand down. Inhale, downward dog. So wherever you're on all fours or you're in downward dog, just flow through that twice more. Inhaling as you twist and lift the fingertips to the ceiling. Exhale as the hand comes down. Inhaling to step back. Hover for a moment. Exhale, step forward. Inhale, twist. Exhale, down. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Now holding either in your hover or your downward dog, wherever you're at. Feeling into the pose. Maybe you're choosing a more thigh strengthening pose and going with the hover. Or maybe you feel like you need more of a stretch today and you're going with downward dog. Maybe one more breath. Props to those who are hovering. And then gently and slowly we're going to make our way up to standing. So if you're hovering, drop the knees, bring yourself up. If you're in downward dog, walk feet in towards hands. Walk hands ever so slowly up the legs, bringing yourself slowly, gently all the way up. Okay. Have a little bit of a shoulder circle. Let's step the feet wide. Knees and toes pointing in the same direction. And have a little play with that. So sink into your hips. We're going to press the knees wide. And the distance between your heels, the angles of your angles of your feet need to match the angles of your knees. So have a little move side to side. If you find that when you move side to side, your knee is shooting way past your toes, then you'll probably need to either stay up a little bit higher or move your feet slightly further up. You want shoulders above hips, so we're not tipping forward, we're nice and vertical in the upper body. And as we breathe in, we're going to sweep the hands wide, straighten the legs. It's similar to what we did when we were seated. As we exhale, bring palms together down the middle. Maybe the gaze follows the hands. So you can make it a gradually increasingly bigger movement, or if you're not feeling it in your hips or in your knees today, maybe you stay small, maybe you step your feet a bit closer together. Listen to your body. Twice more. Right, now when you sink down, bring hands onto knees. And we're going to bring in a bit of a Tai Chi. I can't do this with my leggings around my ankles. My heels, I slip too much. So making sure that you've got good grip on your mat. If you've got socks on, make sure you probably want to take them off. Hands onto thighs, just above the knees. And then we're going to move the weight slowly over to the right. So the left leg is going to straighten. And when we're at the extent of that movement, we still want that right knee to be above that right ankle. We're going to sweep the left hand up and over, so that we've got a straight line all the way from left fingertips to left toes. And then we're going to sweep that hand all the way down and over and back onto its knee. And we're going to repeat on the other side. So as we breathe in, we sweep the arm across the body in front, reach up, a little momentary pause on that diagonal to feel length from fingertips to toes. And then exhale, that hand comes up and over, back over onto opposite knee. So now we're going to bring that into a little flow. You can sink as low into the hips as you want to. You can go a little bit faster, but the aim isn't speed. It's matching movement with breath. It's mindful presence. It's that deep connection that happens between mind, body, and breath when you're wholly present with what you're doing. You might find there's a little movement of the heel as you turn the foot just slightly to accommodate the twist. Now you might want to make it slightly more flowing. Maybe twice more each side. Obviously stopping any time that you need to. I'm going one more each side. Then gently straightening the legs, we're going to heel toe the feet back in again, and let's give them a little shake out. Shake your tail feather, circle your hips around maybe, shake out the other foot. Do what you need to do. It's quite a lot in hips, so give them a bit of a waggle to release that tension. We're going to do down dog at the wall. So if you might need to use a piece of furniture if you haven't got a bit of wall accessible. I'll show you what I mean. You're going to come up to a wall or hopefully an appropriately placed and sized piece of furniture. Place your hands onto the furniture or wall at about hip height. So the middle of your palm is roughly where your hip bones are. And then you're going to walk your feet backwards, trusting you to risk assess your own space and not step on anything or slip, until you feel like you are an L shape, a right angle at the hips. Feet, heels are hip distance apart. Knees can stay a little bit soft if they want to, if that feels better for you, especially if you know that you hyperextend. Otherwise, legs might be straight, but you're aiming. You have previous cardiac events or high or unmanaged blood pressure. You might want to gaze at the wall so the head stays above the heart. Otherwise, you might look to the floor and have your ears between your biceps. But pressing the floor away with the feet, pressing the wall away with the palms, and then maybe just slightly think about lifting the sitting bones. Taking a couple of nice deep breaths in, long breaths out. One more time. And then soften the knees, walking the feet back in towards the hands, giving the wrists maybe a bit of a circle out, a bit of a flick out of the hands. And then we're going to come down onto our bottoms. Now this, you might want some props for this. A block is great. Maybe a nice firm sofa cushion or something would do, or a couple of pillows. 2 or 3 bed pillows might be handy, or big sofa cushions as well. So getting yourself propped up. And then let's take the left leg out and bend the right knee. So the right sole of the right foot isn't necessarily against, but is towards the inside of the left thigh. And then we're going to bring the hand either onto the left leg, left toes are gently pointing up towards the ceiling, left hand onto left leg or onto the floor in front of it. And we're going to bring the right hand up and over, sliding that bottom hand to a position where you feel nicely supported. And we're aiming for a mild stretch here. It's not a deep stretch. We're just wanting to feel a nice mild stretch down that right hand side. Then once you've found where that mild stretch is, not too deep, you want to feel something but not too much, then you want to bring in your props. So it might be left elbow might reach left leg, and then fingertips or hand might support head. You might find that's too far. You might bring in yoga block for left elbow, and then hand to support head. Might be on its low setting, it might be on its high setting. You might have a whole bunch of cushions or blankets or something that you can pile up onto that leg to give a little bit more height under that elbow. But the aim is to build the props to support what was your mild stretch. So find the right position for a mild stretch first, and then support yourself in that. And we're going to hold for a couple of breaths, maybe another minute. And if that arm lifted doesn't feel right, if that's too much in the shoulder, you can bring fingertips onto shoulder. You might want to drape the arm over the head. So if we're maybe fidgeting a little bit before we get settled. And then hopefully dropping into stillness. If it's painful in the shoulder, you can drop that arm down and reach it around the back of the body, maybe. And tuck it round the back and reach for the thigh on the other leg. Feeling into the stretch and then breathing long. Maybe another couple of breaths there. And then when you're ready, bringing that hand down if it's still up and over, maybe giving that arm a bit of a flick out. And then using the right hand to press down and lift you up. And releasing, flicking that arm out. Okay, then we're going to come to the middle. So both legs are wide. You might want some kind of block construction. If you've got a bolster or a nice big squidgy sofa cushion, maybe one of the back cushions off the sofa or a pile of bed pillows. But we're going to come to a supported wide leg forward fold. You might use your hands and your arms, you might not want any props. Toes are going to point to the ceiling. Legs can be straight, or you might want a little cushion or a folded up blanket under each knee, whatever feels right for you. And then we're going to find that mild stretch again. So walking the hands forward, so not using props to begin with, walking the hands forward until you find a mild stretch and fidgeting, wiggle in the hips, move the shoulders left to right, maybe arch the back, round the back, settle yourself in so that you can find what is a good mild stretch for you, and then bring in your props. So it might be, I don't know, like a big sofa cushion or something. And you might have your elbows on it. You might have your elbows on it and use your hands to support your head or your forehead. Or you might build something with blocks to support your forehead. Or you might have arms like that and be able to reach forehead onto back of hands. Again, we're going to hold for a couple of minutes. So get your fidgets out. And then focus on the breath for a moment, noticing how the breath creates space within the pose, inside your body, inside the pose. On the in-breath, bringing prana and energy into the pose, and how the out-breath releases, grounds you and settles you. Coming out any time that you need to in any of these poses. And if you're still there, maybe deepening the breath slightly and beginning to think about bringing yourself out. So maybe palms are going to come to the floor. We're going to bring weight into the palms. We're going to push ourselves up, taking the weight out of the legs. And then we're going to begin to shift ourselves over to the other side. So we're going to bend the left knee, bring the left heel in towards us. And then we're going to bring, so finding hand to the, either onto the right leg, right hand onto right leg, or just to the inside, to the floor on the inside of the right leg. And then tipping yourself over that way. Maybe the arm is going to come up and over. But finding that mild stretch, that place where you want to be, where it's not too deep and it's not too shallow, Goldilocks. And then once you've got the position you want to be in, then finding your props to help you feel comfortable in that pose for the next, I don't know, 90 seconds, a minute. Fidget, 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 get it right. And then use the breath to help you settle into it. Coming out any time that you need to, otherwise holding for another breath or two. And then when you're ready, if that arm is still up and over, sweeping it slowly down, bringing the right hand onto the mat, using the arm to press yourself gently and slowly up and out of the stretch. And then let's bring the legs together. Actually, let's take the legs slightly apart. So the legs are parallel, hip distance apart. Bring a nice, not a 90-degree bend, but a bend into the knees. Keep the feet soft. And then we're going to just fold forward in between the knees. This is caterpillar. So the knees have got a good bend in, not quite 90 degrees, but well bent. And then folding through in between. So hands can come to the floor, reaching through in between the feet or towards in between the feet. Lengthen the spine so the top of the head reaches in the direction of the feet. And then if it feels okay for you, if it would feel good for you, you can allow the chin to gently come down towards the chest. Taking a couple of breaths there. And then we're going to begin to prepare ourselves for relaxation. So you might want socks on, cardigans on, scarves on, blah, blah, blah. You know the drill, probably. Yeah, blankets. You might want a bolster under your knees or sofa cushions. You might want something underneath your ankles. You almost certainly want a blanket on top of you. Collecting what you need to be supremely comfortable for the next few minutes. You might want, I'm a big fan of the tuck. So if you've got a blanket, not too much, you don't want a big cushion under your head. You want there to be a bit of space for the front of the throat. But if you've got a blanket that you can put under your head and then tuck it so that it folds, cocoon the back of your head and tuck in around the back of the neck and just support all the way around, tucking it all the way around the top of the head, the sides of the head, the back of the head, the neck, maybe a little bit under the shoulders. That can be a real tonic, magic for the nervous system, can really help you to settle more deeply. blanket on top, maybe an eye covering over the eyes. Settling yourself in and knowing there's no way you can do this practice wrong, because there's nothing for you to do for the next few minutes apart from rest. So we'll start with our 3 deep breaths, breathing all the way in through the nose, expanding the lungs, sipping a bit more air, and then a long, slow sigh out. Again, full expansion of the torso. And then maybe an ah as you relax fully into the surface beneath you and the props that are holding you. Last one, make the in-breath as full as it can be. And then maybe an audible sigh as you release and settle completely into the floor. Let all of the conscious tension go, voluntary muscle relaxation. Call to mind the intention that you set at the beginning of the session, whatever it may have been. Contemplate it with intense focus for a moment. And then let that intention go. And we systematically relax the body. And we start by releasing any tension from the scalp, as though you could relax the hairs on your head. Down to the brow, smoothing out the forehead. Particular attention to the muscles around the eyes. You don't realize how much of a profound effect relaxing our eyes has on the rest of the body. We really soften the eyes and allow that to permeate outwards. Rest the awareness on the nose and the nostrils for a moment, the gentle coming and going of the breath. Allow the nostrils to relax. Allow the cheeks to sink back and down towards the ears. Allow all of the outer ear and the inner ear to relax. The sides and the back of the head. And the jaw. Like the eyes, the jaw can be a secret hiding place for tension. And do what you can to consciously release that. Maybe visualize it, imagine it, imagine a relaxing or a healing, a soothing warmth for the face. It just melts away any residual tension, and then down to the throat and the neck. Taking a pause here just to release any tension, and then down with that relaxation flowing into the shoulders and washing away the tension there, releasing them down away from the ears and into the floor beneath you. Down through the arms, through the elbows to the wrists. And then bringing a intense focus to the sensations of the hands, the palms of the hands and the backs of the hands and the fingers and the fingertips. Be wholly present in the hands for a moment. And then let them relax completely. Shift the awareness up to the heart space, the chest, and center for love and compassion. So bring a compassionate awareness to the sensations in the chest. Maybe The feeling of a flame of compassion there in the chest, and allowing that to grow, and as it does so, melting away tension from the chest, the upper back, the shoulder blades, and then down to the belly and the lower back. And as it goes, taking with it that relaxation and driving out the residual tension from the organs, any unnecessary gripping in the big muscles of the pelvis, the hips, the lower back, relaxing and releasing, giving all of the weight of the body down into the floor and then down through the thighs, feeling the sensations, maybe the fabric on the skin, relaxing the muscles and down through the knees, kneecaps, spaces behind the knees, and then down through the shins and the calves, through the ankles and into the heels. Maybe the heels rest on the surface beneath. The tops of the feet and the soles of the feet, the toes, the spaces between the toes, the tips of the toes, and resting that intense awareness, that compassionate, curious awareness in the feet for a moment, feeling all the sensations of the feet. And then allowing them to relax completely. Whole body completely relaxed. Whole body completely relaxed. Gently aware of the natural breath as it comes and goes. And noticing the subtle lifting and spaciousness, the lightness that the in-breath brings as it nourishes the whole body. Prana arriving in the chest with the breath and then being disseminated to every cell in the body. And that in-breath counterposed with the relax and the release of the natural exhale. The elasticity of the body expels the breath softly and easily. And the cycle begins again. Make the next breath slightly deeper, but before you move, I will read a short poem. Buoyancy. I've regained a natural buoyancy, as if the spirit in me just won't stay down for long. It still surprises me to be the witness of these moods. Overnight I shift from sad and brooding to joyous. In one day I may feel grief, contentment, anger, ease and bliss. Feelings lift and lower like a rowboat on the waves. I am neither the stories I tell myself nor the emotions that accompany the tales. I am the one who witnesses, who sees the spider spin her web without getting caught in the sticky threads. That's Buoyancy by Dana Folds. Now, the in-breath moves the body slightly. Maybe it brings a little movement to your hands and feet. Maybe they stretch and scrunch. Maybe your arms go up over your head and you stretch and feel long. Maybe your knees want to be hugged in and squeezed and you want to feel small. But wherever you are, whatever you're doing, take a pause for gratitude. You've made time for yoga today. Give thanks to yourself for that. Other people have done the same and joined us here, either live in the Zoom room or on the recording sometime in the future. But a moment of thanks to the other souls who are sharing the practice with you, and a moment of thanks for the ancient teachings of yoga itself. And then when you're ready, bring yourself to seated. Let's take one last big breath together, breathing in. Exhale, thumbs to your heart. May the long-time sun shine upon you. All love surround you, and the pure light within you guide you on. Namaste. Thank you for joining me for Saturday morning Zoom. If you're watching the recording and you'd like to drop me a message with any feedback or questions, please feel free. Thank you very much. I'm going to stop the recording now.